What's going on, guys? It's your boy Juju, aka Straw Hat Goofy, and it is time to talk about Avatar: The Way of Water. So yesterday I got to go to the premiere for Avatar: The Way of Water and got to see the movie in 3D Dolby Cinema, and it was honestly, I'm gonna just say this, it's so much better than the first film. It really improves and expands on everything that the first film does. Obviously, the technology has kind of improved since the 13 years since that last one came out, because the original Avatar came out in 2009. Let's not forget that. But James Cameron truly creates something that is an immersive experience to see that man just kind of like put to screen what he had envisioned and kind of create this whole new world with all these characters, introduce new locales, introduce new animals and plant life, things like that, because we got so enraptured in what we saw the first time. But with this film, it follows Jake and his now family, because I believe this takes place about 20 or so years later after the events of the first film, where he now has a family, and due to circumvents, they have to leave where they come from to go to a whole new locale, and that pretty much introduces us to this world that like opens the door for the Way of Water. That means we get new Na'vi who are different colored. They have slightly bigger hands. They got slightly bigger tails because they swim better. It's just really cool to see how James Cameron has expanded on this world that it's created, and it keeps it fresh, it keeps it new, and it keeps you engaging for the most part of the movie. The movie itself is big in every single way. Big doesn't always necessarily mean better, because it is a bigger runtime, and depending on how you feel about big runtimes, this movie is about 3 hours long. There's some points where you kind of can feel it. Me, I was kind of invested in everything that was going on, but I could see why somebody says that they don't want to like sit for 3 hours watching people swim and things like that. But the movie is so big that it has a lot to get through, right? And the movie takes its time with a lot of its characters, and there's a lot of characters this time around. Obviously, you have Jake and Neytiri, who we know, but these characters are kind of pushed to the background a little bit. And I don't want to say like to the background, but they're not the focal point as they were in the first film. This movie actually does a good job of getting you used to the children of Jake and Neytiri, as well as the children of the other tribes people as well. It seems like it's almost like a passing of the torch, how you can introduce these characters into this movie and then kind of like get audiences fully on board with them, because that's what you're going to have to do. They just wasn't there as the children of Jake and Neytiri. These were fully fleshed out characters. You have like a troubled child. You have one of the child who has like a little something going on that's with Awa. Their connection with Awa is a little bit closer. You have the youngest one. You have like the perfect soldier. Like, and you get fully realized characters, and you get to live with those characters, and that's what I really like. They just weren't just pushed to the side as the kids of Jake and Neytiri, so I really like that. Now, one of the biggest problems that I had with this movie was that because the runtime is so big and because there's so much story to get to, the movie jumps around from multiple things. You're seeing what the villains are doing, you're seeing what the kids are doing, and then every now and then you see what Neytiri and Jake are doing, and it feels like these things are islands, right? And that you'll spend like maybe like 30 to 40 minutes with this one character and what they're going through, and then you don't see them for another huge chunk of the movie while you focus on another character. All of it is very interesting for sure, but the thing that gets me is that you're just kind of waiting for these things to come together. And since this movie is 3 hours long, it takes a while for it to come together. So you get these very interesting segments, but you just kind of like, depending on your patience level and the time that you have, you just want to see it all kind of pay off in a cool way. Again, the movie does have a lot to get to, so some things don't necessarily get paid off, and you know that there's going to be sequels, so they kind of say like, hey, this is really cool, but let's wait to the sequel to really get to that. Whereas like I feel like they could have like explained some more in this movie and then kind of wrapped it up in the next movie, but that's just like little small potatoes things, like, you know, some things with the villains that really didn't work for me, because it kind of introduces this concept when it comes to one of the villains where it says, oh, well, if this villain shows up in this way, what's to stop them from showing up in this way further down the line? I don't want to spoil anything, but there are some questions that I have when it comes to just these type of things. But in terms of character development, right? Character development was really big in this movie, especially when it comes to Jake and Neytiri. Neytiri doesn't necessarily have a lot to do. She gets a couple of big action scenes, but she's pretty much relegated to kind of like listening to Jake through most of the time. But seeing kind of like the evolution of Jake and Neytiri, how like now they're used to this world, they're used to each other, and now they have a little bit more to protect, and it's that family, right? It's not just about the people, it's about their family, and that's the biggest theme of this movie. So the movie, even though it feels very big, it still gets very grounded in that sense, right? Because we can all relate to kind of like protecting each other and like being close to each other in that way. There's also some things that I really did, like obviously the Avatar obviously the Avatar movies are very overt with what they're trying to say, like about the environment and how humans are pretty much poisoning the planet. They poison theirs, and now they're trying to poison Pandora. It's very overt, always has been. This movie is even more so overt. There's some subtleties in it as well, but this movie is even more overt with what it's trying to say, and it's definitely trying to say something about the oceans. There's a bunch of whale hunting things that, like, obviously you could just say, oh yeah, that's a whale hunting thing, and then you just kind of get scenes where they kind of show you how horrible whale hunting is. I feel like scenes like that go on a little bit too long, that you think you could either cut it out completely and just kind of like picked up at the end result versus showing us the entire thing. One final thing I want to say about this movie is that the score, oh my god, the score originated by James Horner is absolutely fantastic. I can't remember who does the score for this specific movie, but it still elicits those feelings of kind of connectiveness, right? The connectiveness of like all the people in their environment and just how everything is just, it's more than just one thing, right? And the score is still on 10 here. You know, I'm a big score person, so like I can listen to the score for this movie absolutely all day. But yeah, so guys, that is my review for Avatar: The Way of Water. What did you guys think? I think it's one of the best films of the year so far. Is it the best? I think Everything Everywhere All at Once kind of still has that beat, but I still think it is gonna make a major push for the award season, and very deservingly so, right? So this is probably the biggest film of the year next to Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and I just can't wait to honestly see it again because I really love living in this world and seeing those characters, and I can't wait for what the future holds, because the movie this time sets up everything. The first movie just kind of like tells you, oh yeah, like, you know, if we want to make a new one, we will, but this one definitely sets up more. So let me know what you guys think. Are you down for some more Avatar? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell to get the notifications for my other videos. And yeah, catch me everywhere, guys. Can I be your movie guy?